So earlier this week, I played a game, and I was playing mid, and I was against a really, really good Syndra, and I'll happily admit that they're a better player than I am. And for like stats, I have open their stats here. Where is it? Right here. Yeah, right here. So the I was playing against this Syndra at this point in the time, 81% win rate, and they are obviously tiers above me. I have like a 50% win rate in Diamond, so they're much better than I am. I'm gonna definitely admit that, and I'll point out a lot of the things that I think they did right this game, and I'll point out what I did to avoid what they were doing, and try and make my team have an advantage, uh, even though I wasn't going to be able to win lane. So we start off this with. I always like going over win conditions at the start of the game. This is happening over here, but I'll get to this later. It's not really important. Our team has an okay front line. We have a good amount of team fight with Rumble. We have like me for picks. Zaya's also got picks and team fight. We got a really good team fight comp. We do not have a very strong split comp. We do not have a very good like siege comp. Our comp revolves around forcing fights or picks and then getting objectives. Their team has good siege, it has good poke, and it has good pick. So what this means is whichever team gets a lead, it's going to be really tough for the other team to come back. And their early game is really strong. They have an Ezreal, a Syndra, and a Caitlyn. That's all very strong early game champions. Those are all very strong. So what we have to do is we have to somehow still end up getting a lead and not give up a lead. And this is really important. The Syndra flashes away in this first little fight we have here. So because I know she doesn't have flash for the next like 5 minutes, I can play a little bit differently. And that does change how I play. This game, I was running scaling health, some flat ability power, and I think some scaling ability power or something like that. And I started Dorn's Ring. I didn't look up the Syndra. Someone in the game actually told me, please don't feed mid because it's a smurfing Syndra. And it's like, well, I'll look them up. And then I was like, well, shit. Maybe you shouldn't have started that item. But it ended up going okay. So I'm going to put it on normal time. And I'm going to show you, watch what right here. And she'll do it again several other times. So whenever I go to last hit, she looks to try and cue me when I'm in an animation. Because whenever I go to get those last hit, watch, she walks up and she gets that Q off for free. Because I'm too busy trying to get the last hit. If I blow some mana on her, if I could lose the CS. She just does it again. She does it again. And she does it again. Look at this. Every time I try and get CS, she throws spells at me. And those are times when I'm not set up to trade. The wave was in an even spot, and she still can force these trades on me. So at this point in time, I'm like, well, shit. I gotta do something. And my earlier play that I did was, whenever I found her cooldowns were down, I was able to go in for a little bit of extra poke. This game, I'm running Ignite, and she's running Ghost, so I have a little bit of combat summoner spells. And she doesn't. She still has Ghost for utility, but she doesn't have, I need to turn on just our team's vision. That's going to affect a lot. So, I always talk about, whenever I do lessons, knowing where the jungler is going to be. So at 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, the jungler is going to start looking for a gank on top lane or middle if he starts bottom. Traditional clear, right? So at this time, since I pushed in the Syndra, I go to ward. See, here's my ward. Now I don't get any use out of this ward, but it is something that should have caught the Ezreal if he came down this way. And if you were paying attention, you would see that the Ezreal shows up. So the way I play this gank out is something that a lot of people don't do correctly. Whenever you're at a situation like this, right? Where do you run to? Because if you run to tower, well, you're going to get stunned, probably. You're probably going to get, a lot of damage done onto you from the Ezreal. So, your best bet this time is to walk away. But if you walk away this way, you're going to give up a free kill. And if you walk this way and try and flash the wall, you're not paying attention to cooldowns. So what this gank has, is Ezreal has his flash still, and he has his E. Which means he has two really big gap closers and red buff, so he'll be able to chase me down if he hits like anything early. And Syndra still has a lot too, because I don't think she used anything in the start of this gank. Right here, she sets up her ball, and watch what I do. I start walking away, and I'm walking this way. And the Ezreal is playing as if I'm going to go over this wall, and I can tell. So what I do is I just keep walking up. And I flash away here, and I keep walking up. Now, why did I play it out like that? Well, at any point in time, if I had went around a curve, they would have had the gap closers to get to me. You see? You see where the Ezreal is right now? They would have chased me down if I went that way. Syndra was probably walking around over here too. So the only way you can get out of this gank is by thinking ahead at what cooldowns they have and where it's safe for you to go. So the Syndra wasn't going to chase me after I landed my little bit of combo here, and she was leaving it for the Ezreal. She would only go for like a kill secure if it's really safe. She doesn't need to chase it down. I have Ignite still. And I had Flash still. So when the Ezreal was chasing me, I had to pay attention to his E, and I had to pay attention to his Flash. And I knew he hadn't used his E yet, and I knew he hadn't used his Flash. This is pretty simple stuff. He could have flashed sooner, but he was playing a little safe because he didn't know where my jungler was. So what I did with this gank is I thought, where is it safe to run to? At the very start of it, Syndra's ball was down here, and even though she ended up picking it up and throwing it, if I had just walked at an angle to go and try and flash around, I could have gotten stunned. And if I had walked this way, I would have been smack in the middle of their damage. So I walked out this way, and I'm pretty happy to say that was the smart move, the right move, because I still only barely got out. But that was probably the only way I was going to get out. I was running to my team, and I was running further away from where their cooldowns were. And this is predicting what the Ezreal wanted to do. He wanted to either wait until I tried to flash this wall and let the Syndra kill me, or just cut me off. That's all he really cared about doing. He didn't really care about, like, dashing over this wall. And if you're the Ezreal in this situation, don't fucking dash this wall, because that gives me a free way out. But I knew that also he had his flash still, so if he dashed in, and then I flashed, he could flash and chase me down. So I wasn't going to be able to, like, outplay right here. There was no way I was going to outplay this area. I had to keep running. And even though I'm low, I stick around here for this because the Ezreal was alone. And we end up taking a kill here, and Syndra doesn't have flash, so she can't chase this down. And look at the position we just put ourselves in. So this gank that I should have died, we end up picking up 2 kills. Now, only me surviving was entirely like me doing something well. The rest is my team responding. Yes, I'm going to definitely say my team got those kills. I didn't do that. I kill secured. But I gave my team the opportunity to help me. Whenever you're, getting ganked somewhere and you ping, like, where the fuck is my jungler? Well, I went to my jungler. I kited away from the turret because the turret was going to be dangerous. And then I ping him, like, be careful, because the Syndra's coming back. And at this point in the game, it's looking pretty good for us, because Ezreal just lost his red buff, and he's going to have a little less pressure. But I also feel like I'm going to get return ganked, because now I don't have flash, and Ezreal still does have flash, and Syndra is really fucking good, so she's probably going to get me low. So I don't really want to be in lane when it's pushed. So instead, every time I push out, I start looking for other things to do. Because look how the Syndra is playing. She knows that I can't stay in lane. Even though I have buffs, I can't play up. So what do? I leave. And I'm looking to spread my lead to the rest of the team. And look, now bot lane can win. Whenever you push a wave out, you roam. Whenever you have a lead, you share that lead. This is how you help create advantages for your team. You can stomp the shit out of your lane and still get stomped that game because you aren't helping your team. But so far, I've gotten kill participation for top, kill participation for jungle, kill participation for bot. And you see what I did else? I put a pink ward down. This is how you extend your lead to even more than just like getting kills. You save lives. I save my own life here. I see the Ezreal coming, so I back off. This is how I don't feed the Syndra. Look, I'm backing off. He can't do anything. And we start looking around for the Ezreal because we know that if he's going to be walking this way, because we saw him on my ward, he's going to be looking to take this red buff. Or he's ganking bottom. So that's why I was actually thinking he was going for the red buff. But because I was already down here chasing him down, we just kept coming. And look, more kills for the team. And yes, I did lose some CS here, and I definitely lost some pressure, but I got so much. So what makes you decide on doing these things, right? Because you can't just roam every time. You can't just follow your jungler every time. I push out the wave. And the Syndra knows that if I stay in this lane, she'll be able to kill me. So I push out this lane. Syndra's trying to bait a gank, potentially, because she just saw the Ezreal around here. So we're hunting the Ezreal. That's what this is starting with. We know the Ezreal is around here. And then we keep going. I probably would have gone back if I didn't see the Ezreal right away. But since I saw the Ezreal, I just kept walking down. And now they can't get anything. No matter what they do in this situation, that someone was going to die. Because we had 4 people there and they had 3. And now the Syndra's missing, and she probably just recalled. And I think this is a little risky of the Ornn. I didn't want to do anything over there. I wanted to get back to mid. And I wanted to make sure I was back to mid because what is just as important as getting these kills is if you look over here, Syndra's level 6 and I'm level 5. This is what happens when you leave lane too often. If you overvalue roams, you will get out-leveled. So I come back to lane just long enough to pick up 6. And then I start looking for this fight again. And whenever I see that it's already over, I just decide to go back mid. And you see that pink ward that I got? It's still here. And this got us that kill bottom. And I think it killed... Well, Ornn did his own thing after that. But it got us a kill bottom, and that's extending their lead. Now I've gotten bottom 2 kills, essentially. Because of this ward and my roaming. Right? And I haven't... And if you look at CS, I am losing in CS. I'm losing it by 10 CS. But I'm creating a lot of presence around the map in other ways that is going to... It's putting my team at a really good position. But you see, my top laner dies, and this still happens, you know. And I can't stay in lane. Every time I'm pushing out, I'm leaving. But this isn't something you can do every game. And I'm going to stress that a lot, because I see people, and I've done this before myself, where you roam too often and you just lose towers. If I saw Syndra mid, I probably would have had to turn around right away. But Syndra's roaming too. See? And then she's going by the... And then I fuck up a kill here. I needed to ult earlier. But instead I just feed a kill. Yeah. But my decision to go down bottom was because I knew there was no one on the wave. My turret was full health. And I knew there was something about to happen bottom. And then Bard gets away because I didn't ult earlier. You always want to try and secure kills. You don't want to be like me and you know, try and conserve too many abilities. Because then this happens. We gave up 2 kills. And both of these were my fault. because I baited this, by not killing the Bard and being here, I baited those kills. So this game, I have gotten my team maybe 3 kills, and I've given away 2. So maybe it doesn't seem like I'm doing as well. So from the enemy team's point of view, let's see what they could do. Well, Syndra right now, she is better than me, so mechanically, she could probably just outplay me if I stay in lane normally. And she does kill me a couple more times this game, foreshadowing. But I have a lot of roam potential, and I also have a lot of pick potential too. So all I need to make sure I do is keep this wave out, keep her from being able to take the tower, and look for other things. Now, this is a little bit champ dependent, so if you're playing something like Vel'Koz, it's going to be a little bit harder to roam, but it's going to be equally easy to wave push. You just got to pick your roams a little bit better. So I move a pink ward over here, and I see the Ezreal and stuff, but it's too late. So I decide not to show up to this right away. And the reason I decide not to show up to this is, let's look at Vision again, and go back in time. You see Syndra? She's going up this way. So I saw Syndra go up this way, and I know I'm going to clear this wave pretty quickly, so I'm going over here cautiously, looking to counter the Syndra's roam, because Syndra's looking to get off roams. I put a pink here, and then I start walking away because I can't walk into darkness. And if I had chased this down, Syndra would have been here too. Because Syndra's actually right here right now. Oh no, she's not, but she could have been. And I was worried about Syndra, so I actually let him die. I think I let him die. Nope, he gets out, but I was planning on letting him die. And here's Syndra, and this is why probably I thought she was coming back. And here's her killing me for one. She didn't ult. I was on cooldown from killing me last time, I guess. But this just happened bottom, and she goes bottom, and bottom plays this pretty well, gives 1 kill to Bard and only 1 to Syndra instead of both to Syndra. So what do I do in a situation like this? My bottom lane's dead, it's obvious as fuck that they're going to do dragon, and my jungler is top lane. Well, you don't go for dragon. I am prepared to just push this wave into turret and deny them resources, and then I leave. Do you see how much I leave? I go fucking, like, to the other side of the map. Because they had 4 people around here. You do not contest dragon 1v4 as a mid laner. Don't do that. They had full health, basically. So you leave this. And you make them lose something where you can. I denied them like a wave, maybe. And once we see the Caitlyn down here, I know it's a little bit safer, and my Ornn was nice enough to give me blue. And I'm pretty nervous this point in the game, because I don't know where the Syndra is again. And Syndra's roaming a lot too, because she's trying to give her team these advantages. You can win the game by giving your team advantages. It's a big job of mid lane, because you have the most access to the map and the most resources. The only thing you should be thinking about in mid lane is either crush your lane or make someone else win, so that way you extend your lead in other areas. Otherwise, you're just waiting for a team fight where anyone can die, and it's a 50-50 smite, basically. So what you want to do is you want to extend your lead or crush lane. And she realized she wasn't going to be able to kill me too much because I kept backing off. So she's looking to get roams off on before me, so she can set up picks on me while I chase her. Or she's, looking to try and punish me with a freeze or something. But you see, I roam again. And at this point in time, I'm pretty much just assuming I'm going to give up the tower. But Ornn was really good, and Ornn started looking over for this too. So because I've created a lot of pressure on top lane, Jace wasn't around. The jungler, we didn't know where their Ezreal was at this time. But then he shows bottom. So we know this is a super duper free gank. As long as I don't get ulted, it's free. So do you see how I kind of play that a little bit back? I still ended up getting ulted, but I had magic resist at this point of the game, I think. Yeah. By magic resist if you're against someone like a Syndra, you have to. You have to. And I'm actually going to build that into Merc Treads later this game. But the reason that you want to get magic resist is to deny those kills. Because, look, she's got a score that's pretty much the same as mine. And I feel like, I've been trying my ass off this game. I've been in every other lane getting these kills. But every time I come back, she kills me or she counter roams, right? So what do I do at this point in the game? Well, my goal is still to try and extend my team's leads because I can't really pressure Syndra too much myself. But at the same time, I start getting a little more comfortable now that I've gotten some magic resist. I've completed my Tab Eyes, and I've completed my Morello, so I feel like I have a good amount of damage. So I'm like, alright, I'll try 1v1ing the Syndra, and that's my mindset right now. I don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but I feel like I can, and I can't. So I stay in the lane this time. The main reason I'm wanting to stay into lane is not because I think that I can 1v1 her. It's because if I know I roam again, I lose mid tower. I was lucky enough to keep it one time, but I'm not going to keep it again. If I roam one more time and she stays, she takes this tower and maybe more. So now my idea is, okay, I'm strong enough, I think. I can probably 1v1 her. I'll stay in lane. And she's not around here, and she's waiting for it to come to turret. And I start looking to follow up with my jungler. Every time you get time, do not sit in your lane. Look for what you can do on the map. This doesn't mean you have to end up at the other side of the map and gank. But I'm posturing. Just disappearing from vision creates pressure. If you spam ping missing all throughout the game, people are going to start ignoring it. And I was ready to help my Ornn if he got something on the Ezreal. And okay, yeah, here, this is also a good thing to talk about. So I come back to lane, and I'm still thinking that, okay, I'll look to fight the Syndra, but you don't just start the fight. You don't start a fight when there's no advantage. This situation has no advantage. We haven't poked each other at all. We both have a wave of minions. So what am I looking for as an advantage? As mid lane, the biggest thing is cooldowns. So you know what? I see her Q and W, so my reaction is to go in. She's far enough away from this where it probably won't affect her ult, and I have, the ability to outplay at least one of her abilities. So because of this, just watching her W and her E cooldowns, I was able to dodge her E because I was paying attention, and great mechanics here. But her W couldn't do any damage to me, and I was out of range for her R, right? Her Q was also on cooldown, but that thing's like negligible because it's like always off cooldown if the fight lasts long enough. So I looked for that fight and I burned her flash, and she has to recall because I almost killed her. So now we can do pretty much anything on the map. And I start looking for this turret with the team. And they do a pretty good job of stopping us. And I leave this. Whenever you're this low, you don't want to... Just leave it. Even though they got really low, it's not worth it because any one of like 3 people could have sniped me. Whenever you get low, recall. Because you're 300 gold. Possibly more. But if you recall and you create pressure on the map, maybe somewhere else, or come back full health, all of a sudden you're a new threat. Don't stay in lane with the 100 health. Especially not against shit like Jace. So they have Baron coming, in 3 minutes. So if we wanted to try and get Herald, we got to be doing that soon. And we also have Dragon coming up soon. And my personal bias is dragons are fucking worthless to the large extent of the game. Like, they're not worth dying for. They're worth baiting with, and they're worth getting if there's nothing else to get, but they're not worth dying for. So if we're going to posture for something and risk fights for mid, or risk fights for maybe Herald. Like, maybe. Herald's something you should be able to get for free. You don't really need to risk anything for it. So there's a lot of things on the map that teams can get right now and want to get soon. So dying right now or being far away could be risky. Caitlyn right now is responding to bot wave, and we have a huge wave top, so someone's probably going to respond to this soon. Jace is down here. Rumble's not. Give this dragon would be a good idea. Do you see how Ornn isn't even coming? He knows we need to give this dragon. Do not fight for dragon if you are at a disadvantage. Don't do it. Don't do it. As mid lane, don't face check it. Who cares if you stop dragon? Stay alive. That's what matters. So instead, we look to push mid. And Syndra responds, alone. And then Jace comes, and then Bard comes. And look, because we created pressure somewhere else, they couldn't even take dragon because they realized that it wasn't worth it. Us pushing mid instead of face-checking dragon made them abandon dragon to come mid to try and stop us. Otherwise, we would have just straight up gotten dragon. Or rather, mid turret. That's a good trade. Take mid turret for dragon every time. Unless it's Elder Drake, then maybe not. But now we're posturing for this. And this is because we have priority on it. We're the ones sitting in the bushes. This is fine. But we're not starting it. Look, we don't care about going all the way here. We're baiting with it. I told you earlier that baiting with dragon is a good idea. Look at the fight we get from baiting. We're not sitting over here doing it. We're in position to look for picks. And they're way over here, and then I outplay the shit out of this, and I die. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful diamond mechanics. But my team was in such a good position that fight, because, only a couple of them were checking, doing exactly what I said not to do. Abandon dragon. It's not important. Leave it. And you know what? We won that fight. We won that fight by a lot. And I just turned my mic down. That's the reason I tabbed for a second there. Because now the mid lane doesn't have R. The ADC doesn't have R. They don't have anyone who can really contest this if we get a good fight off. See, they're looking for this. And this is what you can do. They did not have all of their cooldowns. They were probably going to lose that fight because our team had the advantage. Alright, so what do you do whenever you respawn here? Ornn is looking to do dragon, but after dragon he's going to be half-life. These guys are going to recall. She might stay mid, she might recall. He's going to recall. He's probably going to stay. Probably going to stay. So what's going to happen is we're going to have probably like a 2v2 mid. And look at these waves. We need to respond to these early so that way we can control the map. If you don't respond to these, they're going to stack up on your turrets and they're going to kill your turrets and you're going to respond to them late or lose a turret for free. Responding to them early makes it on the flip side. Where if someone responds to it late, you can force a fight. You can be somewhere else on the map at grouped as 5, while the enemy team only can have 4. Or you just let the minions take a turret if they don't respond to it. You let the minions die to turret so that the enemy team doesn't get any money. And see how they just do this whenever they can do it for free? That's when you do dragon, when you do it for free. So I'm going top because I think the next thing that they're going to do is they're going to try and rotate to this wave if it's big enough and we don't respond to it. Or I basically think that this is going to be a problem right now or soon. I do leave a big wave mid, but I don't know. I still think that going top to take that was the right call. My team is grouping mid, and Rumble has the better team fight of the two of us anyways, so it's a good idea to keep him mid. So how long do you stay split pushing? It's a good question to ask. Well, it depends on your vision and where you have pressure and what you expect is going to be what you expect is going to happen next. We have a big wave coming bottom that's pushing into them. We also have people grouping middle that the enemy team is going to have to respond to, or they're going to quickly lose mid turret. So they're going to have to send someone here, and they're going to have to send people here. So they're not going to be able to send everyone to me. They might send 2 people, but that's not a huge problem with a champion as mobile as Ahri. You can get out of a situation like that, especially since they don't have a whole lot of CC. So I see the Jace and I leave because I don't know where everyone is, and it's like, okay, there's 1, so maybe 2 are showing up. I start to see people going, taking things mid, and I know the enemy team is going to be mid, and everyone's going to be grouped. So, as Ahri, I'm not sitting mid. My team has enough wave clear, and, I'm not super important over here right now. I can be looking for a charm, but I am going to look for a charm. Just not on this. We had a pink over here, so the Ezreal didn't, we knew they didn't have vision in this area, and I was looking to get a flank off. But since I just saw the Ezreal over here, I just killed the Ezreal. And now that pick, because I wasn't sitting in lane, I was playing with vision. Or look at their vision. Too late. And now I'm in prime position for this fight, too. Do you see what Caitlyn was laying all these traps in the middle of the lane? Do you know how you deal with Caitlyn traps normally? You flank, so that way you just walk around them. Super easy. And now we just took a turret, and we're going to be able to take a second turret, because, look, Jace isn't going to be able to stay for this shit. 3 of them are dead. And we continue pressing this. It's kind of risky, but at the same time, not. You want to just be paying attention to what cooldowns have been used and positioning. So since everyone stayed, it was safe. But okay, let's talk about what else we could have done. Option 2 would have been leaving this up and going to Baron. Or option 3 would have been leaving that up and going to top lane. Top lane in this case would have been a terrible decision. You didn't want to go to top lane because even though we had a wave stacking up, if we had gone top lane, we would have given them all time to respawn, and then they would have already been right next to Baron, and they would have been, potentially able to do Baron right after wiping us. So going top lane would have been really risky. So our 2 real options was either Baron or mid. And since we all stayed mid, it was a smart idea to stay, but at this point, look at these respawn timers, 2 and 4. They're going to be up really fucking soon, so they could potentially run to Baron right after this. Right after everyone respawns and we're trying to recall, they could run to Baron. So because I know that, and the team knows that, do you see how we're staying a little bit? We know that if we just try and recall, we will lose a lot. So we're instead looking for another pick here. And they give it to us. Because they're trying to look for this fight now that everyone's respawning, and they think we're running away. But instead, we were just set up for another pick. And I start going a little bit aggro because I want to get these kills. I don't know if it's the best decision. That's why. In general, it's not the best idea to trade 1 for 1 like that. Because now our team can't get anything on the map. Their team can't either, but this just stalls a game. And if we're winning, that is one of the worst trades you can make. Don't trade 1 for 1 like that. Don't do me. But they did surrender, so okay. So to highlight things that I think are really important about this game to take away, the Syndra's ability to harass every time I went for a last hit is something everyone should be trying to do, including me, including you. It's when you know to trade. An auto attack is almost the same thing as a cooldown. So whenever you go to auto attack, not only are you not paying close attention to the enemy champion, but your auto attack's on cooldown. So that's part of your damage early game. That's like that. So level 1, your Q on Ahri does like 80 damage, let's just say. Your auto attack does like 60. That's an ability. So you can think about that, and also like Thunderlord procs. So what if I got my Q off? I couldn't auto attack though. That's extra damage even still. There's a lot of reasons you want to be looking for that window when they go to hit the CS to harass them. Things that I did this game to try and respond to that. Well, I paid attention to cooldowns, and I only engaged whenever I knew her cooldowns were down. Because I knew she could kill me. I built magic resist because I knew she could kill me. I also looked around the map for other things I could do, like bottom lane. I looked for roams as soon as I could. I did not sit in lane. Whenever you push in a wave, do not sit in lane. Not without a lot of vision. Not if you think you can tower dive them and kill them like that wave. Because otherwise you're just putting yourself very vulnerable to a gank. I'm talking specifically about mid lane, but also a little bit about top lane. Bottom lane, it doesn't happen as much because you usually have a good amount of vision down there with 2 trinkets and stuff. And also, I don't know, junglers tend to ignore bottom lane till like 6 minutes. So, general early game, it's pretty easy to play up there. But mid lane, whenever you push that shit out, look for a roam or back off to your tower. It's not worth sitting up next to that wave. You want to also be watching the jungler timers, because I knew at 3 minutes I needed to get a ward out. Ezreal's a really strong early game jungle, and even though he avoided my ward, he didn't avoid the ward I put down on River. Remember, on like the pink ward. That got us a kill later on. You got to think about every ward as that same potential. Every ward can save your life and can get you a kill. That's why you buy pinks, and that's why you ward. So also, the roams that I was looking for. Now, I did not focus one lane in particular. I looked at where the minions were, and that's how I decided. Because you want to make sure that you have at least half the lane in order to go for a gank. Unless they're like really, really low, then maybe you could look to dive them. But if you dive them, you're going to go through like their blue jungle, or you're going to go up this way and, through to top. You're not going to go through the river. That's stupid. So in order to do that, you need to make sure they're pushed kind of far. And whenever I saw that, I looked for those roams. I created an opportunity to roam, and I roamed. I also was ready to help my jungler. Every time I saw he was in the jungle, I tried to push out the wave so I could help him. And now let's talk about like why the Syndra was letting me push it in. Well, she didn't have flash, is a very key thing. Also, she was waiting for me to step up so she could stun and combo me. She only needed 1 rotation to kill me. You saw that in this replay several times. She just took 1 rotation to kill me. So she was trying to bait me into those fights. That's why she was staying on tower. She was freezing the wave. Every time she froze the wave, though, I roamed. So then she started trying to take the tower and roaming herself. And whenever she roamed herself, she got some kills. And if you looked at it, she had 3 kills when I had 4. So she was getting a lot across the map. And she was able to kill me, so it's not like I was, stomping my lane. She had more CS than me, too. But what I did correctly this game, I used vision correctly. I assisted my team. I played to cooldowns. And, it's important to kind of know what you can do to a game. As Ahri, you have a lot of roam potential. As Syndra, you have a lot of pick potential. And Syndra can roam too. Like, basically, 2 of her abilities are targeted. Her W has a really long range and, like, cast. Anyways, whatever. 1 of them is targeted. Let's just say everyone talks about how you get outplayed by a Syndra R and it does 900 damage. So she could look for roams too. As every champion, you need to be looking for these advantages for your team. Do not just sit mid. Buy wards. All of these things are really important. Anyways, that's it for this.